Hello, you're welcome back again to class. So let's do the next thing we are going to be doing now is the chest padding. So let's work on the chest padding. For that, I'll be needing a wording. Normally, I should use one without fuse or without gum. That is not fusible, but that is not really that easy to get from here. So we are going to be using this one with this one that is fusible. Let me put it out there. Another thing I use for the chest padding is this. So this is called IMO canvas. It's called IMO canvas, and we know this one as generally as wording. Yeah, we know this as wording, and this one IMO canvas. So I'm going to be using both these for my chest padding. So now, the first thing I do is place this like this. You can see this is a straight grain, and this, but I'm cutting this on bias. I'm cutting this on bias for my this thing. So which means this is, if I'm cutting it in this form, then this will be on bias. I'm sure you can see that. So what I'm going to do with that is, I place my this thing right here. So once I place this right here, you can see I've done that on bias. I place it like this, and then I mark around all these points. Okay. So marking all these areas, and then you flip your roll, and you mark your roll line as well. So you make that about, let's say, 8 or 9 inches from the neckline right here. This almost, so this is where our 9 inches reaches. It's cool, but we can even extend it to 10 inches. So after that is done, you fold this place as well and you mark. Then you may remove your this thing. So you can see this is here already. So then with your curve, you connect to this point. So this is how I make my chest padding. So once you do this, you cut this out of this, you cut this wording out. That's what we're going to be doing now. So let me cut. So right now I've cut this. The next thing I'm going to be doing is placing it right. You can see I've cut this already, then I'll flip it over and cut the second part. Still making sure I'm having it on the bias. So once we do that, we have the two parts cut. Then the next thing is our IMO canvas. So we take our IMO canvas, and one thing I advise you do if you are using this is you pre-shrink it, like you add water to it, because by the time, if you cut it exactly like this, by the time you are ironing and then adding water, it will shrink, thereby reducing the size. So it's advisable that you pre-shrink the IMO canvas if you are using one, to avoid the issue of it getting smaller than the size you have for it. So I'm going to do that now. So now you can see you add water and then you iron. So that's how you pre-shrink it. After you've done that, the iron is dry. After the water is dry, then you can now proceed to cut. So after pre-shrinking this, you place your this thing on top. You place your wording on top, and then you may want to place your jacket front, one of your jacket front on top I normally do this when I'm using high mo canvas. Yeah, let's just use this tool. So once you have this, you match these points, and after matching these points, what I want you to do with the IMO canvas is, because I'm working with a lightweight fabric, a very lightweight fabric, so I'm going to be letting, what do I call it? I'm going to be letting this IMO canvas to be on my lapel area. At least that will stabilize the lapel area very well. So I'm having my IMO canvas on the lapel area. So I've done that. Then the next thing is just connect it right to this point. And then we mark all across. So now that I've done this, the next thing is cut. So right now I have it. So if I'm not having, if I don't want this to extend to the lapel area, I will just cut it from here. Right at the same point I have my wording. So now that we have this, the next thing is you fuse the two together. Since it is having a gum, you can choose to fuse it, but still I'm still going to sew the two together with machine. Sometimes bespoke suit makers do this by hand. You don't use machine, but you do it by hand. But one thing before we go, this place, I want the shoulder area to at least be stronger and firm. And for us, I'm going to be adding a little bit of what do I call it, pocketing. I think that is it. Is it pocketing? Very lightweight stay, more like a collar stay. You can see that, very, very lightweight. So I'm going to be adding it right to the shoulder area to reinforce that point. Just right here, I'm going to be having that at this point, just for reinforcement. And it's always very cool to have it there. You love the outcome. So once you've done that, you press, trim all these edges away. And once you have this done, the next thing is we take it to the machine and stitch. We do pad stitching by machine. That's what we're going to be doing right now at the machine. Let's go do that. So right now I'm going to be sewing the edges. All the edges. And when I get here, you can see this, the roll line. This point is the roll line. So one thing I'm going to be doing is I'll be sewing about an inch away from the roll line, just in case I may need to trim the wording. And after doing this, you sew like that. Oh, this is finished. So you just sew it all around like this. So right now I've done this part stitching, and then I'm going to be doing a little bit of that right here as well, right at this IMO part. So once I've done this, we can proceed to the machine and press. So right now you press it, press it, press it. So now that we've done that, the one thing you do next is on this line, on this dot line, you mark a straight line, and then you check where the dot edge reaches. I think that should be here, and you mark this point. So you put a dot here. Yeah, it's necessary you put a dot right here. The dot should be about 0.75, or let's say half of an inch. That dot is very necessary. And after that, you try and close the dot. We are going to do that. I will show you how that is done. If you have a zigzag machine, you can just simply use your zigzag machine to close the dot right here. And if you are not with a zigzag machine, it's just as simple as putting something like this on top, and then you use that to join. You can see this. When you put this on top like this, you put this under, and then you sew right here and also right here to connect it. So once you do that, you connect those points, and then that will be nice. I'll show you the effects a little later. So once you do it like this, let's go do that and come back. So I've taken it to my machine, and you can see that. You can see what that is looking like. You can simply trim this excess away if you so wish. So, and you can see this thing pops a little bit after doing it like this. It pops up a bit. You can see that. So the reason is that the chest is not you can see our chest is not flat. You know, even though we are men, the chest is not really flat. So to allow for that little space the chest occupies, we also have breast, little breast. So that's the essence of that dart, and also the darts on the fabric. That is the essence. So after doing that, you may press it, at least for now. It's still going to pop up, but make sure you set all these points. So after setting this, you want to trim away the allowance you want to sew on the edge of the lapel. You can see what I did there. So you trim away that allowance, you see, so that when you are sewing, you are not sewing your canvas with it. So that's the essence. So and after doing that, we want to baste this in place with thread and needle. But first, let's use our pin. Let's pin all these points. Now that all this point has been pinned, you can flip it right to the other side. You see that little space is there. Don't worry. So the next thing we do is you flip your this thing like this and press. We'll first do the pressing. And after pressing like this, you can see there's all these stuffs here. You need to adjust that by removing our pins first. Yeah, that is important. You remove the pin from all these sides. And you flip it over again and rearrange. Aha. So once we have it done like this, after pinning, then you pin again right from the front. So right now that this has been pinned, you may then use your thread and needle to baste it in place. Then also trim all this excess, making sure the wording is not getting to the roll line. Yeah, that is important, that the wording will not be getting to the roll line. That is also very important. So once we do this, I think you just paste with thread and needle, and then we are done with the chest padding. So now I've pasted this in place and this is ready. So the next thing we will have to do is our, what do we call it, our facing. So okay, I think this is supposed to be our facing. So you take your facing and the lining that belongs to it. You should know that from your cutting. So then you join your lining to your facing, just like this. But when you are joining, you make sure it's getting about 2 inches or 1.5 inches before this line. You can see it's about 2 inches away from the end line. And then you press. So after pressing right from the shoulder, you come down to about I think 9 inches, and then about 1.5 inch, or let's say 1.5 inch is cool. No, let's make it 1 inch from the lining. 1 inch from the lining, then you make your inner pocket right from that point. Your inner pocket would also be about 5.5. So you mark your pocket. So once you mark this pocket, you go ahead and do your pocket for the chest, for the inner pocket, the chest pocket, inner chest pocket. So once you have this done, I won't be showing us how this is done anymore, I think, because this is probably the same way. It's just the same way we do this pocket. We're going to do it the same exact way we do this. So to save our data and time, we won't be going through that process again. So after doing that, we join our facing. Yeah, our facing, you can see that you place your facing on top of this. And right from the line, I think 1/2 inch from here, right from this 1/2 inch, you measure about 1.25 inch. 1 and a quarter. So this 1 1/4 position will be your starting point. And you mark the same thing right here, and that will be your starting point for sewing your this thing. So you start from this point straight down. Let's go do that and come back.